This is my brother-in-law, sister, that's Brad, Maddie, it's 2 weeks, my aunt. So he's so cute.
I will now call to order the regular city council meeting of April 22nd, 2024. Members of the public are invited to attend in-person meetings in council chambers. Public access to the meeting is also available by telephone by using the call-in numbers posted on the meeting agenda. Meetings are broadcast on Channel 8 for Comcast and Xfinity subscribers and on the city's YouTube channel online. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Leidy.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Luke Manjaro-Massa. Here. Councilmember Burns.
Here.
Councilmember Jaramillo will be absent. Councilmember Kondo.
Here.
Councilmember Roper.
Here.
Councilmember Goff.
Here.
Councilmember Nowicki.
Here.
Councilmember Walker.
Here.
Thank you.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. City Manager Guyer, are there any responses to resident inquiry?
Nothing this evening, Mayor and Council, thank you.
Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? Okay. All right, moving into public invited to be heard. This is an opportunity for public comment on any item not set for public hearing. Statements are limited to 5 minutes per speaker. Statements must be related to city business and limited to matters of community interest. City Clerk Small, is there anyone signed up to speak to council?
Yes, Madam Mayor, there are 2 individuals on the list. The first one is Tim Long.
Great, please state your name and address or ward and provide your comments to council.
My name is Tim Long, 10661 Shore Lane, 4. Good evening. I'm here to talk about financial statement adjustments and a couple other thoughts. The deficit shown for 2024 prior in November, 5 months later, we're showing, and by the way, the deficits were projected out for the next 5 years, financial statement provided. So what I'm questioning is what happened? Even with less property tax, the increases that you projected last November in losses, now we have, at that time, we had $1.7 million loss projected. Now we have a $2.9 million increase in the general fund. So we have a swing, a delta, $4.6 million. Believe me, folks, I look for it in the financials that were presented. I can't see it, I looked. So I don't know how the books were juggled or expenses were reduced, but if there could be an explanation as to that swing, we'd be sincerely appreciated. Perhaps Councilmember Nowicki, as chairman of the Finance Committee, could shed some light on it. Hopefully he knows where those that need to take place here, as well as maybe Councilman Kondo, the numbers guy. I'd really like to know what these numbers are all about. In terms of Councilmember Nowicki, he made a conflict of interest disclosure at the April 8th meeting in terms of his running for the CEO of the particular group that was also going to be managing our forensic mental health facility here in the He disclosed a conflict of interest, and the Mayor Pro Tem said, with great virtue signaling what gratitude she had for them making this disclosure. The point being is, it should have been a recusal on that vote. He should have recused himself, not allowed to vote, seeking the rehab facility CEO position. Oops, it looks like that one slipped through. Also read in the connections, we have 112th Avenue flooding, damage reduction and mitigation. Improvements to the east 112th bridge. That cost is a federal request. From the federal government is $11.84 million. Two questions with that. What happens if it's not funded? Some money in the budget for it. Secondarily, as I look to the reparations for 9 residents that were left unmentioned, under all your hugs and promises and virtue signals, there's nothing being said about how you're going to take care of them. Should there be another, heaven forbid, 100-year flood like we had two last year. In terms of the forensic mental health, we know that the pedophiles are not going to be located there. 250 feet, just as a way of reference, that's a long touchdown pass for John Elway. I think in 2 to 3 years, the state will try to slip somebody in there. The question I have for you all, you got caught off guard, supposedly. How do you know if they do it again? What are you going to have in the way of prevention? And lastly, I can't help but think that strategic planning aspects, 8 and 10. What if they hadn't shown up? Would you still have a resolve to pursue what you did when you did? I don't think so. You need to restore the faith and trust of this community. They showed up. The silent majority showed up. And they spoke to you. And you all say in your heart of hearts, you really believed it and felt it. I think you were doing the best cover-up you could. You had 2 months to get the right story straight. And you did a good job with it. Great speaking. You're all speaking from the same. So, I thank you for your time. And I'm still wondering if Jimmy Wolfert's new bill will be submitted yet. She said it would. I still don't believe the governor's going to let her do it. And I don't see the preemption issue or the late bill anywhere in the legislature.
Who's next?
The second person on the list is Tom Lampo.
Use the
It's
cordless mic.
Check, check.
There you go. Welcome. Please state your name and address and provide your comments to council.
Hello, I'm Tom Lampo, 3951 Jackson Way. It's nice to see everybody, and it's good to be in front of Northglenn. I'm here to lift up the city and the people of Northglenn in prayer. Please join me in prayer. Heavenly Father, in your Son Jesus' righteous and victorious name, you are the God of heaven and earth. All glory and honor to you, Almighty Father. We invite you here to be with us in the city of Northglenn. In your word in Jeremiah 27:5, you state, "With my great power and outstretched arm, I made the earth and its people and the animals that are on it, and I gave it to anyone I please." You are the creator of everything and the ruler of all. You see all, know all. Nothing escapes you. Doesn't matter what outcomes occur. To any situation, you have everything under control, and you have secured victory in the spiritual battle. In your wisdom, you have placed us all here at this time to witness and be part of everything that is taking place. I lift up the people of Northglenn to you and ask that you reveal truth to everyone. In John 8:32 it states, "And you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." We need freedom. We have been oppressed for too long. We need your truth in our lives. Please open our eyes so we can see truth. Don't let our enemy deceive us any longer. As truth is revealed, let the words in Philippians 4:6-7 comfort us. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Be there for us and comfort us. We don't know what the future holds, and it could be unsettling to us. Father, look upon us as you looked upon the Israelites during the time of Moses. The Israelites lived in the land of Goshen, and before the fourth judgment in Exodus 8:22 it states, "But on that day I will deal differently with the land of Goshen, where my people live. No swarms of flies will be there, so that you will know that I, the Lord, am in the land. Distinguish our community as you distinguish Goshen from the land of Egypt. Protect and keep us from any danger. Let the destruction that goes on around us not harm us, although we know it will affect us. Bring your peace and let us find comfort in you. In your victorious name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you, Tom. Is there anyone in the audience who did not have a chance to sign up but that would like to speak to council tonight? No? Okay. Is there anyone on the phone who would like to speak to council? You may press *6 to unmute at this time. I don't hear anybody. Okay. If council will join me, we have 3 proclamations tonight. Gotta follow the directions. Okay, we're gonna start with Arbor Day. So we have some staff with us. Who's with us today? Come on up. Okay, stand here and I'm gonna read this. I love Arbor Day. Okay. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees, and this holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in the state of Nebraska. And whereas 2024 is the 152nd anniversary of Arbor Day, which is now observed throughout the nation and the world as a time-honored tradition that celebrates the importance of trees and encourages their planting, preservation, and care. And whereas trees are vital to our environment as a valuable natural resource that improves air and water quality, decreases energy costs, reduces stormwater runoff, decreases soil erosion, reduces noise pollution, and provides habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are also great sources of joy. Springtime buds predict the arrival of warmer days ahead. Summer canopies create shade for relaxation and protection from ultraviolet rays. Autumn leaves yield a variety of beautiful colors and piles for play. And winter-touched branches provide a windbreak and paint picturesque scenes in Colorado's amazing landscapes. That's very poetic, I have to say. Thank you to our amazing clerk. That's beautiful. And whereas the City of North Glen has been designated a Tree City USA by the National Arbor Day Foundation for the past 33 years, and will celebrate Arbor Day with a tree planting event at the North Glen Senior Center. And whereas we wish to reaffirm our commitment to environmental stewardship and acknowledge the invaluable contributions trees make to our overall quality of life. Now, therefore, I, Meredith Leidy, Mayor of the City of North Glen, Colorado, hereby proclaim April 26th, 2024 as Arbor Day in the City of North Glen and urge all residents to join in the observance of planting trees, participating in tree planting events, and committing to the continued care and conservation of these treasured assets. Dated at North Glen, Colorado, this 22nd day of April 2024. So before we take a photo, I would like our staff members, please introduce yourself, tell us your role, and then tell us a little bit more about why Arbor Day is important to you.
Thank you, Mayor Leidy. I'm Joel Szymanski. I'm the senior arborist here at the City of North Glen. I've been here 23 years.
My name is Louis Vadine. I've been with North Glen for 10 months now. Arborist technician under Joel.
Well, thank you, Mayor Leidy, council, staff, and the residents of the City of North Glen for your continued support and acknowledgement that trees play a vital role in our community. Arbor Day is really a celebration, a chance to put trees on a pedestal and show their importance and their value. A chance to get your hands dirty. And yes, we would invite anyone that'd like to join on Thursday to come out. We're gonna plant some trees with the seniors on the festival lawn in hopes of providing more shade during events. Arbor Day is also important because it is a standard for the National Arbor Day Foundation and the Tree City USA recognition. I'm happy to announce that in 2023, we've received the award for the 34th year. I have a plaque that will go outside on the board. So I'll add that later after the meeting. And around town, there's some signage that celebrates the 34 years of achievements. Again, thank you, and come out on Thursday.
Okay. All right, welcome. The next one is the National Day of Prayer, and so I would invite anyone who is here to join us to celebrate the National Day of Prayer to come on up. Thank you so much. Okay. Whereas on April 17th, 1952, President Harry S. Truman signed a bill calling for a National Day of Prayer in the United States. And in 1988, President Ronald Reagan designated the first Thursday in May as the day for its annual observance. And whereas National Day of Prayer encourages people from different faiths and backgrounds to come together in unity and solidarity to celebrate diversity, honor different cultures, and show respect for one another's beliefs. And whereas the theme for National Day of Prayer 2024 is Lift Up the Word, Light Up the World, as a reminder that throughout history, when America has faced trials and triumphs, Americans have responded with faith, calling for light to emerge in times of darkness and to spread over those in need. And whereas, as Americans, we celebrate our constitutional right to exercise our convictions freely, no matter our faith or beliefs, to practice individual prayer, reflection, and meditation to find sanctuary and reflect on the things that unite us in humanity and service. And whereas prayer has been an integral part of the American experience, providing guidance, strength, and unity in times of challenge and celebration, inspiring hope, fostering understanding, and promoting peace within our diverse communities. Now, therefore, I, Meredith Leidy, Mayor of the City of North Glen, Colorado, do hereby proclaim Thursday, May 2nd, 2024, as a National Day of Prayer in the City of North Glen, and encourage all residents to join with open hearts and minds in prayer, meditation, or reflection to bring about peace, compassion, and protection for all. Dated at North Glen, Colorado, this 22nd day of April, 2024. So I do want to meet our guests, but also we have additional copies of this proclamation so that you can all take one.
My name is Jody Forsythe, and this is my husband Doug, and we represent the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Hi, my name is Isan Riahi. I'm the outreach for the North Glen Mosque.
Hello, my name is Jenna Gregg, and I am the city's community outreach coordinator, and I work alongside all of our faith groups to do the work that they do in the city.
Do you want to say anything additionally about the National Day of Prayer?
I'll say there is a verse in the Quran that God says, "O mankind, We have created you into nations, from a male and a female, and made you into nations and tribes, so you might know one another. And this is exactly what the city of North Glen is doing today, is so we might know one another. I want to thank Madam Mayor, city council members, and the residents, and the different churches and synagogue in the neighborhood of North Glen. It's amazing how a culture of city can actually do the same exact influence on people and different places of worship. And that's what I've noticed myself. So I want to thank everyone for the opportunity to lighten up the world. Thank you.
Yeah, I couldn't say anything better than what he just said. We are working with our North Glen partners and Thornton, actually, in an interfaith group. And so we've got probably half a dozen, or maybe closer to a dozen churches that are gathering together once a month, and we're working on community projects, which we haven't defined yet. That's how new this is. And so this is super exciting. The prayer that was given today was beautiful, and we need more of that. And so we are excited to support this.
Well, let's take a photo. Oh, okay. All right. Next one is National Public Service Recognition Week. Whereas National Public Service Recognition Week is an opportunity to express gratitude and appreciation for the hard work and commitment of our public servants across all levels of government. And whereas public servants work tirelessly with dedication, integrity, and compassion to uphold the public good, inspire trust and confidence, and enhance the quality of life for all residents. And whereas public servants represent a diverse array of occupations, including but not limited to inspectors, social workers, accountants, clerks, educators, public transportation workers, technology professionals, administrators, planners, parks workers, laborers, analysts, sanitation workers, and countless others. And whereas many public servants, including military personnel, police officers, firefighters, healthcare professionals, and others, risk their lives each day in service to the people of the United States. And whereas, while some public servants are very visible in the community, others work behind the scenes to ensure that services are available to residents and processes are open and accessible to the public. And whereas, without these public servants, continuity would be impossible in a democracy that regularly changes its leaders and elected officials. Now, therefore, I, Meredith Leidy, Mayor of the City of North Glen, Colorado, do hereby proclaim May 5th through 11th, 2024, as National Public Service Recognition Week in the City of North Glen, and encourage all residents to join me in honoring and recognizing the dedication, professionalism, and sacrifice of our public servants at all levels of government. Dated at North Glen, Colorado, this 22nd day of April, 2024. All right, come on, staff. So all of our city staff should join us. All the people. Are you not a, come on.
staying down. I'm not stepping up. I'm good. Right here. All right, big smiles. I'll take a few of them. Do the 0.5. Oh, no. Smile, 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 smile. All right.
For sure. For sure. That's good. You need to have your picture taken occasionally. Portable microphone up there the whole time tonight. I think we will. Do you want me to get it or? Yes, Bob said that he'll fix it tomorrow.
We have to have that line up.
I know, yeah, maybe we turn that off. Ah, perfect, okay. All right, moving into presentations, we have our Youth Commission quarterly update. Come on up. Youth Commission President, welcome. Is it Mira Bippin? Okay.
Thank you so much for
Hi.
having me here today. My name is Mira Bippin, and I'm currently the president of the Northglenn Youth Commission. And I'm here on behalf of the Youth Commission to give you guys our quarterly report for January through March. So first, I wanted to start off with some of the priority projects that we've been working on. So for 2024, we decided our priority projects to be public health and community engagement. And for public health, we decided to do something new this year where we broke off into subcommittees. So each of our youth commissioners can work on different projects and we could work on more projects together overall. So for public health, we broke off into our naloxone committee and our food insecurities committee. So for our naloxone committee, the group is working on creating and distributing flyers and pamphlets with info on access to naloxone in the local community and figuring out places that they can distribute that information. And then for our food insecurity committee, we're working on coming up with a canned castle food drive in association with our local organizations, including Food for Hope and Joyful Journeys, and seeing what projects that we can implement in the community specifically for youth to tackle that issue. And then for our community engagement priority project, this is kind of our overarching project throughout the year where we're just trying to participate in as many events as possible. So we participated in the Farmers Highland Canal cleanup in March, which is a great way to get out in the community and help clean up the canal. And additionally, we've been having a lot of presenters at our meetings just to hear about local organizations in the community. So we heard from Representative Jenny Wilford on some of the legislation that she's been working with, and so that we could share some of the projects that we were working on. Additionally, we had the Rocky Mountain Partnership, and where they shared on ways that we could get involved with their civic influencers, which really is focused on advocacy and local policies. And we heard from Food for Hope and some of what their organization does, especially in local schools, and ways that we could potentially partner with them for our food insecurity project. And then we had the NLC conference in March, where Suyash, Nazli, and I attended to represent the city of Northglenn and as youth delegates. And at this conference, we heard from federal officials, including the President and the Secretary of Transportation, which was an awesome experience. We also met with Senators Hickenlooper and Bennett, along with Representative Caraveo, where we were able to ask them about legislation regarding mental health, homelessness, and career and technical education, as these are some of the projects that we were working on currently. So being able to kind of see from a legislative perspective what they were working on was really awesome to see how that affects us in Northglenn. And additionally, we were able to do a lot of sightseeing. So we saw the Air and Space Museum, the Library of Congress, where we each got our Library of Congress cards, and saw the International Spice Museum, as well as many monuments and memorials. So overall, this is a great way to learn about activism and advocacy, especially from a youth perspective, attending the youth sessions, and was a great way to represent the city of Northglenn. And so when looking at recruiting for this year, we had 2 new members join the board, Leanne and Anusha, and they were able to fill 2 board of director vacancies. So we're at a full board of directors and are continuing our work on recruiting members for the youth commission. So that includes reaching out to local middle and high schools, reaching out to them to see if any students are interested. And for the future, we're working on recruiting and working on any of our projects, including food insecurity and community engagement. Thank you so much for having me here. Are there any questions?
Councilmember Kondo.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First of all, I just want to say that during NLCDC, I was sitting in the back there with a South Denver community. This was in the meeting that we had with Hickenlooper and Bennett. And the guy turns to me, a council member, and he says, "Where did you find these people? And how do we replicate that?" I'm not going to name the community, I don't want to embarrass them, but you all really did set a very high standard. So thank you for doing that, and we were delighted to have you along with us to learn and understand how government works at all levels. I do have one question, maybe it's more of a brainstorm, Mira, and when you talked about Naxalone and all that, and I might be mispronouncing it, but being that I'm the liaison for North Metro Fire, they have some courses on stop the bleed, CPR, and those sort of things. Would that be of interest or benefit to you all? And if so, I'm more than happy to facilitate introduction so you can figure out how to make that work for you, if that is indeed in your interest.
Yeah, I think I'll definitely bring that to the group, but one of the things that we were talking about was like public health overall was like kind of like looking at drug abuse, but also, like you said, CPR and stuff like that. So I feel like that would be a great resource for us to look at. So thank you. We appreciate getting into
Absolutely. Just let me know and I'll do the introductions.
All right, awesome. Thank you.
Councilmember Nowicki.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I didn't have a question, just a comment. I had the opportunity to hang out with the Youth Commission in DC at the conference, and I was just really impressed with, your motivation, your guys' commitment to our community, and, I think you made us all very proud. So keep up the good work. It sounds like you're doing a lot, and let us know if there's anything we can do to help as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We're glad to hear that.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I don't have any questions. I just wanted to say great job, keep up the good work, because I know I've seen how hard you all work. So you're doing great things, and just keep doing that.
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. And thank you for such a thorough presentation tonight. We really appreciate your time.
All right, thank you so much for allowing me to present today.
Thank you. Okay, we're moving into communications. We will start with Councilmember Byrd.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Happy Earth Day, everybody. Thank you to everyone who came and spoke. Just to build off Mira's great presentation, Youth Commission has been doing a lot. They're an outstanding group we have. And in fact, we had outreach from the state's Youth Commission, and Suyash spoke on Friday virtually. So we'll get an update of how that went, but Northglenn represented at the state level for our outstanding youth commission. So very exciting. So thank you so much to staff for pulling that together, because I got the call and the email, I think on like Tuesday, and then we organized it by Friday. So shout out to Cassie and Director Peterson as well. Thank you. For CC, the Community Co-Policing Board, I did not attend because it was my birthday, just to be totally honest, and I ate dinner instead. But they had open office hours at the rec center on the 12th and the 19th, which were really cool to more work with the public, give updates on sort of what we're doing, what our goals are, which I think was really, really cool. And I think would love to see that happen a little bit more, and maybe even an idea for some of our other boards and commissions to hold open office hours at the rec center, so people know that they exist, kind of, and that they can join. And that is everything for me. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Walker.
Thank you. Just a quick report out from the Legislative Committee tonight. First of all, I want to thank Tom Lampo and Mr. Long for coming to speak tonight. And also want to let you guys know I did testify last Wednesday for the Senate for the frivolous lawsuits bill against developments in support, which is in line with our legislative priorities. A few things from the Legislative Committee. We did take an opposed position in Senate Bill 194, which is special district taxes. Also, Bill 1460, which is we'll just call it a reform of police. We took a unanimous opposed position. Some good news, the TOC and ADU bill, which has been pretty big, will have the stick removed, which removes the HGFU funds. And so that's good for us because we probably couldn't have qualified for that. So like I said, they've removed the stick from that bill, which is good. They've also, in Bill 1454, they've delayed the penalty phase of the digital accessibility until July of 25, I believe, as long as we're making a good faith effort. So that will help us and small towns. So for the last thing, though, I'd like to ask council consensus to direct Corey to look into bringing an ethical complaint against Senator Winter, in part for the disrespect that she showed the residents of this city and this council, and for her behavior on April 3rd at the public hearing. This is one of the city's most important meetings for its residents, and for her to show up in her condition was unacceptable. Our people deserve better. So in conclusion, I'd like to ask for consensus for Corey to look into an ethical complaint against Senator Winter.
Can I ask a question? Can you speak to what that process is like?
Well, I know enough to be dangerous, but I did do a quick review of the rules, and it appears that such a complaint goes to the President of the Senate. Beyond that, frankly, the ethical rules seem to contemplate things related to financial violations, conflicts of interest, so this would be a little bit unusual, but nonetheless, I think it was a very public way of showing how she was carrying out her legislative duties, and the rules of the Senate do reference how one carries out their legislative duties, so we can certainly look into it.
Okay. Anyone want to comment, respond?
No. I guess I'm not opposed to looking into it, but I just feel like what you were saying, the ethical issues in our legislation have more to do with financial and maybe even criminal or whatever, that kind of thing. And in this one, it was more, I think she embarrassed herself more than did any kind of harm to us. So I'll look into it.
And Mayor, if I could, I can just read an excerpt from some information I received in anticipation of tonight, just to take a quick look. And there is a memo that was done by the Office of Legislative Legal Services, and as it relates to the rules of the Senate, it says that Rule 43 of the Rules of the Senate establish a process under which a person with knowledge of misconduct involving legislative duties by a senator may file a written complaint. So I think that language at least provides a little more breadth than simply the financial stuff, which frankly is most of the rest of the memo related to the gift disclosures and things like that. But there is a basis if someone believes there is misconduct involving legislative duties. That's the language.
Okay, Councilmember Kondo.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to make sure I have clarity. So this would be a complaint that gets sent to the Senate leader? Is that it? Or?
Truthfully, I've never looked at this issue, so I don't know the answer to that. I suspect that is the answer, but I don't know because I haven't done that deep a dive.
And maybe Councilmember Walker, is the intent here to document, or what's?
So my direction for council consensus was to have Corey look into filing a complaint for what our options were, and if so, then drafting one from us. Okay. And to obviously the Senate leader, as he said.
Understand. Thank you.
Councilmember Nowicki.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I suppose I'm not against kind of looking into to honoring Councilmember Walker's request and kind of looking into it. You know, that showing up in that condition, yeah, it's not a great look. You know, maybe I'll have more to say on this if this is something we look into. You know, I believe she's being treated for an alcohol use disorder. If I'm not correct, I could be speaking out of turn, but you know, I know she did seek treatment. But you know, one of the yeah, I suppose I'm, you know, in this matter, looking into it is kind of the first step.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I absolutely support looking into her conduct on that evening. I don't believe that it was a good look for our city. I don't believe it was a good face to put forward to our residents, especially given the topic that we were talking about. I did say last meeting that I was glad that she was seeking help, but that does not mean that it was acceptable or that there isn't some type of repercussion that needs to happen. So for those reasons, I would absolutely support Councilmember Walker's request.
Councilmember Burns?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I support Councilmember Walker's proposal to us. I mean, all of our residents are also her constituents. So, I mean, this is it's a reflection, I think, of us at the local government and then her, and I think our residents deserve a little bit. So, yeah.
Councilmember Roper?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I agree with my here that really that is a reflection of us. Deserve better, so I would agree with.
Can I respond before you do?
Yes, ma'am.
I saw your hand pop up. So here's a different perspective, a little bit of context on this one, because my frustration is the lack of accountability. So as an elected official, the only people that are her boss are the people that vote for her. So we can bring this letter, we can give the letter to the president of the Senate. That is not her boss. My bigger sorrow, I think, is that this is a known issue and everyone around it has just let it go. It was a known issue on the Westminster City Council. It's a known issue at the State House, driving to and from her job downtown repeatedly. There's documented evidence that this has been a concern for a long time. And so I really appreciate Councilmember Walker elevating it to a point of, hey, we can't just sweep it under the rug because she made a statement the next day. It was a horrific look on our city. It was highly disrespectful for all of the residents. Forget us. I mean, it was really a bad look. And so I really appreciate you bringing this forward, because at some point, someone has to stand up and say it's not okay, if only so that she gets treatment. Councilmember Walker.
Thank you guys for your support. I guess I have a question, a clarification to you, Corey. Given that the session's coming to an end here very soon, how quickly can we move on this? If you look into it and magically discover all the answers tonight, can we move on this?
Well, it will not be that quick, but as soon as I have information, I'll certainly send council a communication and we can take the next steps depending on what that is. So it's hard to say without knowing what the process is, but I can certainly communicate with you all and then get direction as quickly as I have the information.
And then one last question. Could we act on that remote or via email? Or will we have to wait till the next meeting?
There may be ways to get consensus that can be ratified at the next meeting.
Okay. Thank you so much. And that is all. Thank you.
Councilmember Nowicki?
Is my hand still up?
No, it's your turn to do communications.
Oh, okay. Okay, great, that issues. All right, now, gonna recenter.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Madam Mayor. So on April 11th, I had the opportunity to attend the Business After Hours event at Lizzie's Axe Throwing. It was a good opportunity to meet the other North Glen business owners and network with other residents there, and to channel my inner Viking. Thank you to the North Glen Economic Development Team for putting it together, and Lizzie's Axe Throwing for hosting, as well as to Itacate Mexican food and Happy Dumpling for the yummy food as well. On April 15th, the North Glen Senior Organization met. So the issues that are relevant, some of the issues that we discussed that are relevant to City Council include discussion about what will be done with the old rec center. I talked about some of the, that being torn down, some of the mitigation process. And they had questions similar to kind of what will be done with the old city hall once we're in the new one. What will that look like? In addition to kind of parking concerns and continuing to kind of advocate for increased parking. Couple of things. Thank you, Mr. Long, for your comments. I did want to add a couple clarifying things. I did not, when I made that disclosure, I was not running for the CEO job. That would be nice, but I don't think I'm at that level yet. It was actually a director level position. And if I thought there was a conflict of interest, I would have recused myself. I did coordinate with council members, staff, and city attorney. And again, in the interest of transparency, if I thought there was a conflict of interest, I would have recused myself. Also, as chair of the finance committee, I will look into your concerns, kind of about there being this deficit and then the surplus. I'll coordinate with the finance committee around that as well. Thank you.
Councilmember Goff.
Thank you, Mayor. So I'll just go quickly as I can through activities that I was involved in. April 10th was the CC4CA Legislative Committee meeting, and probably the one that might be more of interest to Northglenn is Senate Bill 195, which is to protect vulnerable road users. This has been in progress for quite some time, and CC4CA has been very active in working on amendments, mostly regarding the funding of it. But if this bill were to pass, then we might be able to get some funding to improve either trails or bike lanes and that kind of thing in Northglenn. April 13th, I just wanted to let everybody know that several of us and staff too went down to Monument, Colorado to see the artwork in progress that's going to be installed in our new city hall, and it's beautiful. And I learned a lot about blacksmithing, which I never thought that would be part of being a city council member, but it was very, very cool. April 14th, I did attend a neighborhood meeting on Northglenn Drive with about 8 residents that were concerned and needed clarification about the mental health transitional home, and they just wanted to know what was going on and what they could do and that kind of thing. So we had a very informational meeting, and I came away with some questions that I've been working with staff to answer for them. And April 17th, I did testify with CC4CA on an environmental sustainability circular economy bill, which sounds like a mouthful, but it has to do with recycling and in ways that we can encourage that to happen more effectively in our state. And then also I testified on the vulnerable road users bill in support of that, if they would continue the amendments that we'd been discussing. That was before the House Energy and Environment Committee. April 19th, I want to thank our planning director, Brooke Svoboda, for participating in that meeting as well, because we met with several staff members from the governor's office and also our senator, Senator Winter, to discuss House Bill 1313, which is the transit-oriented communities bill that they're trying to pass, which and along with many other municipalities, have great concerns about being forced to build dense housing, no matter, like one size fits all. So we've been working on that. And Brooke was very clear in explaining some of the issues that he saw on North Bend's behalf. So, and that's it.
Thank you. Councilmember Kondo.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. 3 items. So we were quite busy, obviously, with the mental health transition living facility, and so Dr. Goff and I, we tag team. So on April 13th, Saturday, I attended the protest that was organized by Ms. Daniel Luciano, and clearly the tenor of that session was much better in view of the fact that the state had announced some concessions. I don't know if they actually put it in writing. It seems like everything happens through the media. But I was there to obviously listen to the voice of the residents as well as provide a sign of solidarity. I participated in the business after hours with Councilmember Nowicki, and I'm embarrassed to say I cannot throw an axe to save my life. And despite my affiliation with North Metro Fire, where they use axes all the time, just don't put me on the line. please, yeah, I'll probably enter something. But all joking aside, I did meet with the owners of the bakery that provides the pretzels to Prost. And they're starting to have a retail arm where they're gonna provide pastries now through DoorDash or Uber. So on April 9th at the Ward 3 meeting, we're gonna feature not only breakfast burritos from El Mirador, which seems to be the standard fare for the day, but we'll also have some pastries from that. And the more important thing about that is that we're also going to use that as a forum to receive more feedback on the 5-year strategic plan. In fact, that's the top line item for the 4 or 5 topics that I think we're going to cover. And that is on Saturday at the Justice Center starting at 9 o'clock. Am I getting my times correctly here? Of course, my social calendar is so busy and crazy. The last thing that I want to talk about, of course, is the Rocky Flats Stewardship Council questionnaire. And I think I've had the opportunity to canvass and talk with most of you here on the days. I still need to close with a few more people. Shelley Stanley has already gone into the document and provided the staff perspective. A reminder, this is due on the 25th, so that's Thursday. And on Wednesday, I'll be having a working lunch. Actually, Mayor Pro Tem and I will have a working lunch with Joyce Downing. So I think that'll be a great opportunity to receive input and perspective from somebody who has got a very long time horizon in council leadership, and hopefully I will be able to then just signal average it all and distill it into the form for submission on Thursday. That is all that I have.
Thank you. Councilmember Roper?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So we have all been very busy, for sure. A couple things to highlight with the Parks and Rec Board. On the 11th, we met, and primarily there was a lot of permits that were being issued for summer activities like PBS Kids Fest, movie nights, all kinds of things on the festival lawn and at the park. Also, I thought this was interesting, and I want to go and check it out. They're going to be using Scout Park as archery practice. That was very interesting. And then Prost has started their cornhole league. So if you're interested, you will have to wait till the next one, but it may be fun to go and cheer on some people. For the Historic Preservation Committee, we met on the 9th, and we had a public hearing. I won't go into that too much because y'all will be talking about it. We took a tour of Bliss Studios on the 13th, and that was incredible, seeing the artwork of Jody Bliss and her just a vision for the art installation that was coming along, and just amazing. And we also, Councilmember Goff left out that we got to blacksmith ourselves. We created pieces that will be going on to the installation. It's kind of cool. It was just really incredible and a lot harder than I imagined. Also, I want to remind everyone that tomorrow night we have our Board 4 meeting at Prost, and we are excited to see everyone there. That will be at 6 o'clock. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Quite a few things. I was out of town, so I'm so sad that I missed the axe throwing. I was really looking forward to that, but it sounds like it was a great time. I will start out by offering my condolences to the family of Phil Carney. He was a previous council member, and I think it was from 91 to 2004. I was trying to look up the exact dates, but he was one of the old school Ward 3 council members, and he did just pass away. So I went to his services on the 18th to offer my condolences. He also served on NURA for, I think, about 18 years and was chairman of NURA as well. So very involved. Served with Joyce Downing, served with Rosie Garner, served with Kathy Novak. So, in that genre, just wanted to make sure that the family knew that we are thinking of them in this time. On the 10th of April, I attended the Business Retention Committee meeting, and that was why I was bummed to miss that axe throwing, because that's some of the things that the Business Retention and Expansion Committee does. We also set business walks, which there's a few coming up in the summer. So if any council members are interested in doing some business walks, I will let you all know, because those are a lot of fun. You get to meet business owners face to face and, and find out what's going on in the city and what their needs and concerns and what's going well as well. We like to hear that. I attended the NURA meeting. I don't have a lot to report out on that because there's a lot of things that we tabled for now. But we did take a new photo, so there's that. And it was very windy and cold, so I'm curious to see how that's gonna turn out. It's gonna be hair flying and cold faces. Today, I attended the Legislative Committee meeting along with Councilmember Walker and Councilmember Burns, and Councilmember Walker did report out on that, so I will not repeat that. Councilmember Roper reminded everyone, we have our Ward 4 meeting tomorrow at Prost. All topics water, so water quality, future water projects, congressional funding for water projects, and my favorite, the Aquifer Storage and Recovery program, which I think is very innovative, so I'm very excited to highlight that to all of our residents. And of course, the strategic plan, which was also mentioned, so getting more input on that will be extremely important. And the last thing I will end with is for my fellow council members, if you haven't signed up for the May 15th CML district meeting, I'm very honored to say that Northland is a host for this. They just restarted the district meetings, and I just think it's so cool that they chose to have it here in Northland and have us be a host for that regional representation. So please, I know Ms. Susan Baca would absolutely appreciate if everyone signs up. And that is all I have. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Excellent, thank you. Excuse me. Okay, well, I have a few things. I'm going to try not to repeat anything that fellow council members have shared, but I was out of town on the 8th, and so I didn't have the opportunity to thank our residents for all of their work on April 3rd. But I also wanted to thank council for the yes vote on the ordinance that extended the boundary. That was actually a key moment in this whole process. But there were so many people behind the scenes that worked on this problem. This was probably one of the biggest problems that we've had to face as a city. And to really be proud of not only our residents, but the city staff, right? Our police department, our city staff, our city attorney, our city manager, everyone came together. What I don't know that people realize is there were hours behind the scenes, hours, meeting upon meeting, emails. I mean, it was a concerted effort, it was an organized effort, and the city really came together in a strong fashion. But specifically, your state representative, so Jenny Wilford spent hours fighting for the residents, fighting to have their voice heard, making sure that she was engaged in conversations with her colleagues downtown, and she was doing everything she possibly could. Kyle Mullica, his heart is still in North Glen. Senator Mullica does not represent us anymore, but he stepped in. He stepped into the void that our senator created, and he helped us out. And the two of them worked very well together, including District Attorney Brian Mason. And so they came together to make sure that they got this agreement settled. And I say agreement because the media used the word compromise, and it was not a compromise. It was not a give and take. It was you need to fix the mistake that you made, and this is what we need from you. And so it was an agreement. There were, I was looking at my calendar. I also was doing quite a bit to keep the pressure on, making phone calls downtown, doing interviews with radio and news stations, because the whole purpose was to keep the pressure on and to make sure that the communication was honest. The messaging was changing, as you know, and so this was a full, what are they called? Whatever. I don't have my metaphors proper, but you get it. It was everyone coming together to do the absolute best to come to the agreement, and I just want to say thank you. And the residents came out full force and just did a fantastic job of communicating their needs. It was great. So secondly, I attended the Adams County Mayor's meeting with RTD. We do that once a month. So obviously we're talking about, some of the legislation around RTD and then just needs in the area. I also attended the Mile High Flood District Board meeting. I want to shout out a couple of things. The North Glen Youth Theater this year is celebrating its 30th anniversary, and I just recorded my Mayor's Monthly Minute in the theater, and it was really great because they were setting up for the Lightning Thief, which is going to be a great show. And I'm super excited because I'm also bringing some of my students next week to see it, so I'll tell you how it is. Derby Days on Saturday, so that's what I will be doing Saturday morning, is spending time with our community and honoring everyone that catches the big fish. And then finally, I do want to address former Councilmember Long's comments around the finances. Because he spent 8 months on council, asked countless questions about the finance, pushed really hard on our finance director, and never seemed to grasp municipal budgeting. And so I think I'm disappointed, not terribly shocked, but I'm disappointed by the disparaging comments that we're hearing. It's unfortunate. We're getting some jabs in there, we're getting some disparaging comments, and it's really not helping us move forward. And so the rest of us understand the municipal government and how the finances work, especially those on the finance committee. And it's done annually. There's adjustments based on tax revenue. And there's been a lot of response. Our finance team has responded and answered all of the questions. And so my message to residents is, if you have questions about our budget, if you have questions about how finance works in the municipal realm, please reach out to us. We will have coffee with you. We will explain it. We will sit down, and I think we can move forward because we're in a good place. As the mayor, I have a conversation with the auditing team every year, and we have actually an award-winning finance team. They're doing a remarkable job, and I'm very proud of the work they do. So that is all from me, City Clerk Small.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I do not have any updates tonight.
Okay, City Manager Guyer.
I have several updates, so bear with me. The first is a reminder that the Adams County Mayors and Commissioners Youth Awards will be held at the Adams County Regional Park next Tuesday, April 30th at 6 p.m. Northglenn has 7 youth who will be recognized at this event. If you'd like to attend and you have not RSVP'd, please reach out to Jenna Gregg, our Community Outreach Coordinator, by tomorrow. So please RSVP by tomorrow. Reach out to Jenna. Shifting gears a bit, the bocce ball court at Danahay Park is now open for play. For the future, staff is exploring the idea of community lockers that would allow park users to quote-unquote check out equipment to use. In the meantime, though, please bring your own bocce set to use on the court. The contractor will be finishing up minor landscaping around the perimeter of the court as soon as the weather allows for the irrigation to be turned on for the season. The goats have returned to Oscar Arnold Nature Area. Goats will be working, AKA eating, all month to provide eco-friendly weed control, natural fertilizer, fire mitigation, and soil stabilization. Our park rangers have again planned an outreach event to give the community an opportunity to learn more about the goats and how they benefit the nature area, as well as other live animal interactions and environmental educational activities. The goat encounter will be held on Sunday, May 12th from noon to 4 p.m. This week, the Senior Center will be celebrating Arbor Day. I believe Joel mentioned this. On Thursday, April 25th at 10 a.m. Please meet at the Senior Center for this free event and follow us outside to learn about how you plant a tree. We will provide some fun refreshments and lots of informative discussion. I'm going to jump to a couple other updates that are very timely. Today and tomorrow, we push this information out via our social media channels, as well as providing council with a heads up. There is a lane closure on eastbound 112th. This is a temporary closure between Larson and Irma due to the interim work that Naranjo is doing. They're the contractor on behalf of Mile High Flood District. This is the start of the interim solutions to the 112th ditch flooding project. So this will be a temporary detour. We appreciate the patience of our community. We know that these types of detours cause impacts. However, doing this approach was the best way to get it done as quickly as possible. So we appreciate your patience. The one other piece on the 112th Ditch and Roadway project is that as we continue work on the interim improvements, we are continuing work on development of permanent improvements. There was, staff met with Dr. Earls and the Mile High Flood District team last Thursday morning. I sat in on that meeting, and good progress has been made on that report, as well as identified permanent solutions consistent with what has been shared with council. So there's been further development, and we'll be back in front of council within the next couple of months, as well as scheduling another public meeting touch point to share permanent solutions with the residents in the area, as well as any concerned resident in the city. We will, we did submit the congressionally directed funding request on the Senate side. We are waiting for the House of Representative project opportunity for funding to open up. That hasn't opened up yet, but we will submit as soon as we can. We did learn of some additional opportunities for funding through the Colorado Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Management for hazard mitigation assistance. So to use the phrase that was just used, full court press, that is being applied to this project as well. So we'll continue to keep you updated, but good progress on that front. And then the last update that I have is I was given copies of the Highland Hills Park and Recreation District 2023 annual report. These were mailed to me, so I'll go ahead and hand Megan a copy, and you can each take a copy, and I'll make sure that the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board receives one as well. That's all I have this evening. Thank you.
City Attorney Hoffman.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of council. 3 quick items. First, I wanted to follow up on something the Mayor Pro Tem said, because I was unable to attend Mr. Carney's funeral, but he was a charter member of the Nice Guy Club. He was just a great, great guy, and for those that didn't know him, I thought it was worth saying, because he, not only did he give a lot to the city, but he was just one of those guys that, just a charter member of the Nice Guy Club. Secondly, I wanted to follow up on something Councilmember Nowicki said in response to Mr. Long's statement in public comment. The North Glen Charter, Section 4.7, related to conflicts of interest, is somewhat unusual, and I would suggest to you that Councilmember Nowicki was compelled by that charter's provision to vote. So, unlike other charter provisions, ours says you shall vote unless certain things disqualify you, and nothing in Councilmember Nowicki applying for a job rose to the level of even coming close to disqualifying. So he was actually required to vote under the North Glen Charter. And then lastly, related to the mental health transitional facility, I too am thrilled at where we are today, but I wanted to assure council that from my perspective, we're not done, and that I am committed to continuing to push to have, whether you call it a promise, an agreement, a compromise, whatever it is, it should be memorialized in statute. And so I will continue to push for that, whether it looks like it will likely not be this session, but based on the promise, agreement, or compromise, whatever it is that has been made, we have time to address this in the next legislative session, and I intend to push on your behalf to do everything I can to make that happen.
Thank you, we appreciate it. Well, thank you for those additional words. Okay, we are moving into the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Please open the vote.
The vote is open.
Please vote.
Wait.
We'll close that vote, and the consent agenda passes unanimously.
Great, moving into public hearings, CB 29.
bill for an ordinance amending section 11-3-3E1, addressing commercial uses under the City of North Glen Unified Development Ordinance.
I will now open the public hearing on CB 2019. Is there anyone who would like to speak either for or against CB 2019? Is there anyone on the phone who would like to speak about CB 2019? You can unmute by pressing *6 at this time. Hearing none, I will close the public hearing. All right, CB 2020. Will the city clerk read the title, please?
A bill for an ordinance amending section 3-3-3D of the North Glen Municipal Code regarding the application of state law to the North Glen City Charter regarding executive sessions.
I will now open the public hearing on CB 2020. Is there anyone who would like to speak either for or against CB 2020? Is there anyone on the phone who would like to speak about CB 2020? You can unmute by pressing *6 at this time. Hearing none, I will close the public hearing. CB 2021, will the city clerk read the title, please?
A bill for a special ordinance amending the 2024 budget, recognizing revenues and appropriating expenditures by supplemental appropriation for the payment of the costs and expenses of the municipal government, agencies, and offices of the City of North Glen, Colorado for the fiscal year beginning January 1, 2024.
I will now open the public hearing on CB 2021. Is there anyone who would like to speak either for or against CB 2021? Please state your name and address or ward for record and provide your comments.
Tim Long, 10661 Shelby. Oh, it's not working. Okay. Can you hear me now? Okay. Tim Long, 10661 Utrillo Lane, North Glen, Ward 4. My statement is a real simple one. I see a loss in my earlier notes of $1.7 million in the general fund, and now I see that swing to a $2.9 million increase, and the delta is $4.6 million. My question is, in this general fund swing, how was this accomplished? And as well as a secondary thought, the corrected documentation that might be provided in the 5-year pro forma that was provided to all of us, showing losses and the diminution of the general fund balance out through 2028, as I recall the number. And my question is, I'm sorry, I don't see this disclosure in the financials as presented prior. And I'm just asking this question for clarification. Again, $4.6 million is quite a swing. And this is given the fact that we had even less property tax projection increases than were firstly provided to us last November. And that was put in the budget projections. Now you've had 5 months to look at all of this. My questioning again comes back to the fact that I do not see where this $4.6 million delta comes about. I don't see it anywhere. This is not a disparagement. All I'm sharing with you is that facts are pesky little things. And I'm just trying to find out what took place here, as well as what the future looks like for the financial pro forma projected out, as well as a little bit of a narrative, perhaps more, that describes the use of the capital funding, all the capital projects that we're looking at. If there could be some summary projection, because it's very difficult to read through the minutia, especially when it's showing itself in 8 to 10 font. It's hard to read. So I'm just sharing this again as a concerned citizen, concerned with the finances of this community. As far as the auditing goes, it's a membership, if you look carefully, that Northland participates in. This is a membership group that does your oversight. And quite honestly, were I in council, I might be tempted to suggest we have a forensic audit take place. But because I'm not in such a position, I'm just making this as an observation. Again, I do not mean to disparage. All I'm sharing with you is my observations on the numbers. As well, I served more than 8 months, Madam Mayor. Thank you kindly.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak for or against CB 2021? Is there anyone on the phone who would like to speak about CB 2021? You can unmute by pressing *6 at this time. Hearing none, I will close the public hearing. All right, moving into ordinances, CB 2019, the Unified Development Ordinance Amendment. We just had the public hearing on that one. Is there a motion to approve on second reading?
Motion to approve is so stated.
Second.
City Attorney Hoffman will provide a summary of the item.
Good evening again, Madam Mayor, members of council. This ordinance is simple, but hopefully will provide the city with another tool in its proverbial toolbox related to the enforcement of folks selling their wares on public or private property without permission. And so what this ordinance specifies is that you cannot sell commercial goods or store commercial goods on public or private property in an area A, that's not zoned for that purpose, and B, without the property owner's permission. And so this can, the example of what would be with private property owner's permission is probably something like a Christmas tree lot, where the city has specific provisions about how you would get that sort of permit. Folks that are selling, for example, flowers on the off-ramp from 104th, or onto 104th from I-25, people selling their wares on city sidewalks would not have the permission of the property owner, be it the city, be it CDOT. And so this is another enforcement tool for folks that are selling property without the landowner's permission in a commercially zoned district.
Any questions or discussion? Councilmember Kondo.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Question for Attorney Hoffman. So city sidewalks in front of a house, if somebody wanted to open a lemonade stand, is the property owner the resident of the property?
It's not a commercially zoned district, so this would not apply there.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Councilmember Nowicki.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Actually, that was my question, so.
Okay. All right. I don't see any more. Please open the vote.
The vote is open.
CB 2020 executive session process. Is there a motion to approve on second reading?
Motion to approve.
Seconded.
All right, City Attorney Hoffman.
Good evening once again. This ordinance, if adopted, really will make only one change to the city's executive session process, and that is that it will require the recording of executive sessions that are not subject to the attorney-client privilege. The city has historically taken the position, because executive sessions are actually in its charter, so its authority is organic, that it need not follow state law. This ordinance specifies that while the city is under no legal obligation to do so, it elects to follow, the city's electing to follow the procedures for executive sessions. And again, practically speaking, this simply means that they will be recorded as it relates to non-attorney-client privilege communications. And we would certainly recommend approval based on how the law has evolved in this area, and there is a lot of litigation related to executive session. This puts the city in a better place if it needs to, if it has litigation brought against it for executive sessions.
Thank you. Councilmember Nowicki.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. One question, and I think we maybe had covered this before, but Can you say a little bit more about the recording process?
Certainly. Under state law, under the process under state law, executive sessions are recorded solely for the purpose of if someone contests whether someone went to executive session for an improper purpose, that tape is kept for 90 days for the sole purpose of a judge being able to listen to it and determine whether or not it was a proper purpose. So the city would follow that retention schedule, it would have that executive session recording available for that purpose. And under the council's recently adopted policy, it would also allow a council member to hear that executive session recording if they were not able to attend the executive session in purpose. But that's the only reason that recording is made, and it is kept for a limited time under the retention schedule.
Okay. And is it, I mean, you're physically gonna have a tape recorder that you're just gonna set up there and?
It will be some sort of recording. Different entities do it differently.
Okay.
It took all of my restraint not to say tape recording, which is how we used to refer to it.
Hey, I got it. I had tapes.
And I do still have clients that have cassette tapes that they physically have for this purpose, but there are many different ways to have that recording made and kept.
Thank you.
Please open the vote.
The vote is open.
Please vote. The supplemental appropriation and CIP carryover. Is there a motion to approve on second reading?
Move for approval. Second.
All right, our Deputy City Manager, Jason Loveland, is here to provide a summary of this item.
Am I doing this right?
Yes, we can hear you.
So far.
I'm not a mic holder, so. Anyway, so as mentioned, this is the supplemental appropriation and CIP carryover for the 2024 budget. What you have before you really is an identification of the unspent balance, or we call it carryover, of each CIP project or other projects that are one-time in nature, a long-term plan or whatnot, that we had going in 2023 that we just need to carry over into the next year. So these are all items that are either grant awards, like I said, purchase orders, or other contractual obligations that we have. So we've already committed to spend these funds. This is just recognizing the budget need for 2024. There is a fair amount of detail provided. I did want to take a second, we can get back to the supplemental, but to address some of the comments from earlier tonight. At the last meeting on April 8th, I did mention, I was trying to bring some good news about the financial position of the general fund specifically. And going through our audit process, we're at a point that I was confident to report on the fact that the final numbers are in, and it looks as if we'll be adding $2.9 million to the general fund balance. That information was not provided in April 8th's documents or in these documents, so they are nowhere to be found. I did mention at that time that we'll be presenting that information on June 10th, and so something to look forward to. So I just wanted to provide a little bit of clarity there. If you have questions about that, please let me know. But the 2023 budget did identify $1.7 million potentially as a reduction in fund balance, and it is indeed going to be an addition of $2.9 million. So as a matter of policy, when we do our budget, we're conservative in our estimations on revenues, so we're not identifying one-time capital projects or development deals or new businesses open. We really wait to see when that happens. On the flip side, on the expenditure side, we're conservative in a sense that we just assume we're going to spend all the money. We'll be fully staffed 100% of the year and whatnot. So that is where some changes can happen from what's budgeted to what ends up happening. So that will be discussed, as I said, June 10th. with a presentation from our auditor. So, but for what we're taking action on tonight, staff does recommend, making these budget adjustments to address the contractual obligations rolling from one year to the next.
Thank you.
Happy to answer any
Any
questions.
questions? Councilmember Kondo.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I do have a question. Obviously, we heard the term forensic audit, and I wonder, for the purposes of our audience, what does a forensic audit do? When would you actually do a forensic? And if you don't know, maybe I'll ask Attorney Hoffman.
I think that a forensic audit could be done at any time at the direction of City Council if that was so desired. Forensic audit would most likely entail specific areas, specific transactional pieces. The audit that we undertake right now is to identify if our financial statements are materially misstated. They do not look at every single transaction. Their job is to also review our internal controls to identify if there's threats of fraud and whatnot. So a forensic audit could be, we're going to look at every single transaction that council does from the council perspective. Every single transaction that has your names on it, we could look at that. Or a variety of things. It could be anything the forensic audit could be, so.
So, as opposed to an internal audit, it looks like you're really focusing a spotlight on a particular area that might be of interest, or perhaps there's a concern?
I would say that, yes. In an internal audit, if we did that internally, that would be similar. The forensic piece would come in the fact that somebody from a third party was coming in to drill down.
Attorney Hoffman, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, we don't do an internal audit, though. This is an audit by a third-party auditor. I've frankly never heard the term forensic audit as it relates to a local government. That doesn't mean that they haven't occurred or that it doesn't happen. I will say that over the years that I've been practicing, so an audit is required under Colorado law for every local government that has a budget. I think the number is of over $150,000 on an annual basis. But the audit process over the years has changed, and it has changed in such a way where the auditors are now required to ask about people if there's any indications of fraud. And it's asked in a number of different contexts, a number of different people who participate in the audit are asked that same question. So the fraud controls have enhanced greatly over the years. But again, I've never heard of the term forensic audit for a municipality. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist, but I've never heard it.
Yeah. So our annual audits should pick up anything if there is malfeasance or loss of internal controls. Am I connecting the dots?
That is the role of the
Okay. Very good, thank you.
Any other questions for Jason? Okay, thank you so much. Please open the vote.
The vote is open.
Please vote. Great, moving into discussion items, new City Hall construction update, April 2024. Director of Planning and Development, Brooke Svoboda, will present the update to council. Welcome.
Welcome. I feel like I should do Dunker Shane.
Yeah, if you
and,
could
like,
sing a
Ferris
little
Bueller.
bit. We'll get you a little band.
All right. Put a mic in, guys. So, well, good evening, Mayor and Council. Just to give an update on the City Hall construction. Earlier this month, it's almost the end of the month, we did a walkthrough, safety walkthrough with the police department and leadership team and identified a few modifications that we're making. Those modifications have only added 2 days to the overall schedule, so not a significant impact. They involve putting more protective glazing on certain windows on the main floor, also adding a ballistic rated door for the second egress coming down the back stairs from the upstairs, and also putting in a door in the planning permit area that was actually previously in there and then came out somehow and didn't get caught, so we're putting it back in. And also, we are monitoring a couple of potential delays that are related to the exterior siding and the council chamber window. We had a third, which was the elevator. They had actually delivered everything for the elevator over a month ago, and then the installer was unavailable until this last weekend, and it was installed this weekend, so does not look like it's gonna have a significant impact on that. Also, the foundation slab failure, we are now actively working with the insurance carrier now. What we have determined is that there is a claim that's being filed. It is a question now of what the deductible amount is, and that we've also determined that it is going to be the city's obligation. We would likely cover that under our contingency. So we hope probably within the next 30 days to have a succinct answer as to where we're going and what that's going to end up looking like. So we'll provide more information on that as it comes up. And then also on May 6th, before council at 5 o'clock, we'll be doing another tour for city council to see how progress is coming. Lastly, I just want to touch on the rec center. As you probably have noted, there's basically nothing left. We are still working through the temporary grading that will enable us to try to get positive drainage to the inlet, which just so happens to be on the corner closest to the rec center, which also happens to be a relatively high spot. So we're trying to figure out how to best work that in the interim phase. The other thing that we're also going to be doing is we've been coordinating with the events staff on making sure that we have enough space and utilization for the food truck carnival. And so one of the things that's going to be happening here in early May is we're going to be moving part of the fence back from the current sidewalk of the old rec center. That's going to be moved back about 15, 20 feet so that they can do their midway game section along there to help utilize that space to help maximize their layout. And then lastly, the EPA Brownfields grant that we applied for in November that we're supposed to know in March, and then it was April, now we're being told it's middle of May. We will know whether or not we will be awarded that grant. It's for $2.7 million, and we're keeping our fingers crossed to see where that goes. And as always, we'll report back as soon as we hear something. That'll open up to any questions.
No. Double check. No. I do see that the outside facing is going up. It's beautiful. Very nice. Okay, well, thank you for the update.
Thank you.
Are you sure you don't want to give us a tune? A little bit?
You don't. I don't
You just
wanna
look
break
so,
the PA system.
you look so comfortable up there. Thank you. All right, public invited to be heard. This is an opportunity for public comment. Statements are limited to 3 minutes per speaker. Comments must be related to an item previously addressed by council during the meeting. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak to council at this time? Come on up. Please state your name and address and provide your comments to council. Yeah.
Tim Long, 10661 Arbor Lane. True. Word 4. I want to thank you for your courteous responses to all of my earlier questions. I'm the loyal opposition, I should say. I'm always there looking to see what's taking place. I want to just say one thing first. Today's Passover. A lot of my Jewish friends, I want that recognition. See as well with all the recognitions that took place. My second thought is to my a good friend, Phil Conklin, who's passed. I served with him on urban renewal for many years, and he was always a gentleman. He had that mellow voice, and he was a true friend. And I don't know if you know this little factoid, but he was the one who found a way to provide something from 9/11 in New York City that is now on the Broomfield Memorial to 911, and Phil was there at that dedication. This was a true citizen of Northland, and a real gentleman, and I truly miss his counsel. As for Arbor Day, trees need CO2, as just saying. It's treason. And again, I do not mean to disparage. We still don't have money in the budget for additional police field officers. I'm assuming we still have over $625,000 going to go out for special events and celebrations. I don't think that budget has changed. I applaud the idea of having recorded executive sessions. I don't know how long they're kept, I'm assuming 90 days. And that's all I have to say. Thank you for your time.
Right, thank you.
Thank you for, again, for your courteous responses to my questions. I do not mean to disparage, but sometimes those words come out.
Thank you. I will entertain a motion to adjourn to executive session pursuant to Section 4.5D of the City of North Glen Home Rule Charter for legal consultation and advice regarding collective bargaining.
Motion to adjourn is so stated.
Seconded.
Is there any discussion? Nope. Okay, please open the vote.
The vote is open.
Please vote.